Mixed showing for healthcare stocks in the New Year's first trading days. The S&P Healthcare ETF holding on to a 1% gain for 2025, but so far, but still flat over the past year. Even the red-hot GLP-1 obesity category is cooling off. Novo Nordisk seeing especially steep losses since giving updates on its next-generation weight loss drug, CagriSema. The stock erasing all its gains back to August of 2023. For more on where the trade goes from here, Mizuho healthcare strategist Jared Holz joins us on the Fast Line. Jared, great to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Melissa.
At this point, investors have digested what's going on in Novo Nordisk in terms of the disappointment with CagriSema, and that market share hasn't gone to the rest of the weight loss space. What's going on here in terms of the reevaluation of the multiples here and what is factored into the stocks?
I think the main issue is that we finally are in some sort of air pocket with respect to catalysts for Novo, right? They've introduced a couple data sets in oral obesity medications over the past 6 months. And then CagriSema, which I thought was actually okay, just didn't look as good as the company had indicated to investors. And then I think the underlying problem with when you look at the entire obesity space is that the analyst community, I just believe, got overzealous with, their out-year estimates, 100 billion, 110, 120 billion. It just became difficult for the stocks to work.
There's a J.P. Morgan note which Karen had sent around to our team here today, which cited some data saying that Ozempic, Wegovy, Rybelsus, that users discontinued use within 1 year. And I'm wondering if you're seeing that same sort of data and if that makes you extra concerned about Novo versus Eli, because there is a great disparity in terms of the stock performance.
I'm actually not that concerned. I think when you kind of examine this whole space and you do work on how patients are faring on the medicine, the one thing that keeps on coming up is when patients reach some certain weight loss or they attain their goal of how much they wanted to lose, there is a high chance or a high probability that they start to wean themselves off the drugs, either by way of a doctor or self-medicating. And I think when you kind of take that into consideration, you still don't really know what the average length of a patient staying on the drug is. And I'm fairly confident that we're going to see a lot of patients go on and off the drugs, maintaining their weight. So I'm not so concerned about patients finishing the drugs. What I would say is that once you've reached a 20% weight goal or whatever it may be, the likelihood that you come off for some period of time is high, but then you probably go back on it. We're not deep enough into the launches to really know what the average patient's going to do.
So, Jared, it's Karen. Thanks for being on. So drawdowns in both Lilly and Novo. Which do you like better?
I like Lilly here better, mainly because they still have the optionality of an in-house oral weight loss medication. We're going to get that data during the first half of the year. I think that's important to consider, just given some of the issues Novo has had with their program. And I'm not really sure CagriSema is not a drug. The data were fairly good in a vacuum, but I think they need to really regain investor confidence. So I like Lilly, but I know that the street believes that both companies might underwhelm in terms of how the fourth quarters are looking.
Jared, when does Merck get out of the penalty box, and is Viking traded low enough where somebody's going to gobble them up?
What's up, Guy? Yeah, I think Viking's interesting, mainly because of their oral. I think like the injectables at this point might be solved for. They're really going to have to prove a product on their own. But I think there's probably enough value in the oral for the stock to start working if the data continue to look good. That's really where I think that company, finds itself in the market. As far as Merck, the Gardasil issue, the Keytruda issue, the street is begging them to do more M&A. So I think, unfortunately, it's going to have to be business development.